Atlanta sinks Tampa Bay with a fusillade of passing Falcons vs. Buccaneers recap. Kirk Cousins thrives, the Falcons' defense comes together late, and improbable moments abound as Atlanta steals an overtime win. Don't miss any update. Subscribe my YouTube channel for entertainment news. Things easy, but they do believe putting on one hell of a grand finale. For the second straight week in a row and the third time this year, the Falcons were seemingly left for dead before a jaw-dropping last-minute comeback sealed the win. Somehow, this was the craziest one yet. Why? The Falcons allowed 24 points in the first half, and were down 24-17 at halftime. They were down 27-20 in heading into the fourth quarter, threw an interception on a 4th and long attempt, dealt with multiple missed or blocked Younghoe Koo field goal attempts, and saw penalties, drops, and execution errors crop up far too frequently. Yet they managed to drive into field goal range, where, despite an unreal delay of game penalty that backed them up 5 yards, Koo drilled one from 52 yards out to send the game to overtime. A fortunate coin flip, a couple of nice passes, and a 45-yard KhaDarel Hodge touchdown catch and run later, they had won 36-30. This wasn't just the first game where the Falcons allowed more than 24 points on the day, it was also the first one where they scored more than 30. The fact that two things happened on the same night made for a more stressful evening, yes, but they also set the stage for the absolutely bonkers finish to the game. It also told us something about the adaptability and tenacity of this team, something we saw glimpses of in the Arthur Smith era and late Dan Quinn era, but never with any consistency. This winning is becoming a trend, though, and the way the Falcons were able to shut down the Bucs' offense after the half and keep the passing game humming is a testament to improvement from players and coaches alike. The ability to hang in until the very end when you have playmakers like Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, and heroic Hodge backed by a quarterback like Kirk Cousins is no small thing. The ability to take an offense that is bludgeoning you to death and trade their club for a pillow midgame isn't a small thing, either. It added up to an improbable win against the Saints a week ago, and it created an opportunity for a win against the division-leading Buccaneers this week. First half defensive weakness and a weak ground game set aside, this Falcons team looked much better than they did just a week ago against New Orleans, too. A team as mistake-prone as the Falcons isn't going to win these kinds of games all the time. They tried to give this one away in a half-dozen interesting and infuriating ways, but a team that stops making those mistakes while playing like this could be among the NFC's best. I say that knowing full well that this team's largest issues, from the lack of pass rush to the concerning inability to find consistent success on the ground, are not easy or imminent fixes. There's just a lot to like here, and the Falcons coming out of an early stretch that features 2 AFC contenders and 3 NFC contenders at 3-2 underscores that they have something to build on. The big if is whether the Falcons can stop shooting themselves in the foot so frequently, if they can even make modest strides there and tinker with their lineup to enhance the pass rush. Optimism feels quite warranted. The NFL's greatest QB performances are actually better than they have us believe. But I'm looking ahead to an uncertain tomorrow, and really, we ought to celebrate today. Now atop the NFC South with an undefeated 2-0 record against the division and a chance to run that to 3-0 against the Panthers next week, Atlanta's sitting in an excellent spot for the rest of the season. That they did so against a Bucs team they've absorbed some rough losses against in recent years makes it a little sweeter, and that they did that in such thrilling fashion is worth its own celebration. The Falcons are fun again, and the Falcons might even be good again. That's a thought that ought to put a spring in your step on this Friday morning. On to the full recap. The good, Kirk Cousins was just sharper than he had been to a jaw-dropping degree, and all the talk of steady improvement for the passing game certainly seems true after Week 5 in what can only be described as a breakout game. By the time the dust settled on his day, he had broken the franchise record for passing yards in a single game with 509. Matt Ryan had 503 back in 2016 against the Panthers, with 4 touchdowns against a single interception on a 4th and long. Cousins also managed to escape pressure a couple of times, and even if he had to throw it away, it was a good sign for his admittedly limited mobility. Against a lesser offense, Cousins' effort would have been enough to help the Falcons cruise to a victory. Against the Buccaneers, it was still enough to earn Atlanta the win. If Cousins is going to start cooking like this on a weekly basis, the Falcons are now one of the NFL's most dangerous teams. Drake London is really cooking, even though he briefly exited the game with a concussion scare after taking a call that earned an unnecessary roughness penalty for Tampa Bay and leaving the game on the final play with another injury. His touchdown saw him bowl over multiple defenders after the catch, and he was both sure-footed and sure-handed all evening long, serving as the big, reliable target Cousins needs. The number of huge catches he made over the middle for first downs was not a small number, and he finished with a preposterous 154 yards and a touchdown on 12 grabs. This is the kind of production London has long been capable of, and he finally has the quarterback and offense he needs to achieve it. Kyle Pitts is alive and well. Working downfield and turning upfield with the ball, Pitts looked more confident and more capable against the Buccaneers, and Cousins looked his way frequently with quality results. He finished with 7 receptions for 88 yards, nearly doubling his season total in both marks, and should be more involved going forward as this passing attack finds its footing. Darnell Mooney has been a great addition to this Falcons offense, though we'll have to mention him below, as well. In addition to moonlighting as a defensive back in the third quarter, when he knocked out a would-be interception, Mooney made a spectacular touchdown grab early on, added a touchdown in the fourth quarter where he put one defender in the dirt and outran a couple of others, and consistently got loose to provide a downfield target for Cousins. He even drew a major pass interference flag in the fourth quarter that kept the Falcons cooking. Through the first 5 weeks of the season, he has proven himself to be the kind of dangerous downfield threat who can pop open seemingly at will, and more monster games are ahead given his strong rapport with Cousins.